Hi, my name is Emilia Pawlowski, and my film final is on the movie The Last Picture Show by Peter Bogdanovich. To start off our creative journey, let's get into the very beginning of this piece, which is who directed it. Peter Bogdanovich was an American film director born in 1939 in New York, who just recently passed away in January 2022. As a child, he started off by acting in small theatrical performances and later started to direct Broadway performances himself. He was a huge critic who was very opinionated and wanted to see a change in traditional Hollywood films. In the film industry, he started to coordinate films with directors such as Roger Corman and later created his first solo film called Target in 1968. One of the movies that really put him on the spot was his 1971 film, The Last Picture Show, which was famous for its sexual morals and presented with social change in a very strict and deserted community. This movie was a box office hit and even earned an Academy Award. He later continued to make more impressive movies such as Paper Moon and Daisy Miller. He later made multiple films up until the early 2000s and even starred in multiple films as an actor throughout the rest of his life. His death was caused by an abundant amount of complications due to his Parkinson's disease, but his fame and contributions to revitalizing film genres in New American cinema will never be forgotten. A brief summary of the film's plot includes a coming-of-age story about a small deserted town in Texas with very few people during the early 1950s. The movie is based on a group of high schoolers, specifically best friends Sonny and Dwayne, as well as other complex characters that deal with a variety amount of social change and pressures. As graduation comes closer, their main goal is to find ways to escape their town as they go through heartache and hardships, along with rediscovering themselves and fighting against their so-to-be destined futures of staying and growing old in their town. Their journeys lead them to discover the complex lives of each person in their small town and how each character's actions not only affect them, yet everyone around them, leading to many controversies and drama. Personally, I was terribly lost throughout the film, yet I still attained a great amount of love and admiration for many of the characters, and I connected with many of the controversial themes and stories addressed in the film. I liked the diverse amount of characters, as each had their own storylines, yet I found myself lost throughout a majority of the film, as many timelines were unannounced and very unclear, and at times there were too much action going on to the point where each subject and idea was a bit too complex to fully grasp together as a whole. I feel like for me personally, the movie had too many sexual advances, but I do understand that during these times, censorship codes were finally at a minimum, and with this new light, portraying very sexual images and talking about sex in movies was born. I do appreciate Bogdanovich's risk and the amount of controversial topics that he covered, since it showed a new level of sophistication that the new American cinema had obtained and the true freedom that it finally gave film directors to produce something that they love without having to worry about the government taking it down. Overall, I'd rate this movie a 6 out of 10, as it was just not for me with its unclear motives and unclear message, yet still was a great advancement in post-censorship code cinema, and really was a groundbreaking point in American film history with complex and unique characters with true emotions and a variety of controversial subjects covered. The film The Last Picture Show was released to the public in 1971, immediately gaining popularity. Before this date in the 1950s sparked the end of the production code, causing a loosening on filmmaker rules on drugs, nudity, and sex that was previously not allowed whatsoever in any Hollywood films. This led to the American Renaissance, also known as American New Cinema, which was also heavily influenced by the French New Wave. This new style of film was increasingly popular, as it strayed away from simplistic values of previous Hollywood films, since they embraced violence and social unrest, especially when it came to counterculture Vietnam-era upheaval, which was slightly touched on in The Last Picture Show, with Dwayne being in the army. These films include a merge between Hollywood genre and European art forms, as just like The Last Picture Show, included complex characters with actions that were not very clearly motivated and even at times pointless with unresolved storylines. Many of these films also questioned authority and heavily rejected old morals that were very extremely prevalent in old Hollywood films. These massive changes inspired many young filmmakers who were fresh out of film school and looking to create films with this new amount of creativity and freedom that they were just recently allowed to work with and explore. The Last Picture Show was known for being a heavily involved in American new cinema, with its abundant amount of sex, nudity, and controversial topics, and even a small amount of violence portrayed. During the whole duration of the film, topics such as betraying parents, adultery, sexism, finances, religion, sexual desires, virginity, peer pressure, molestation, death, and even heartbreak were all fully covered within this film. These topics were present with JC wanting to find her own path in life, as well as having impulsive sexual decisions, along with Tony having relationships with multiple women, even married ones, and even Dwayne with trying to do anything to get the girl that he once loved, but in the long run choosing to focus on his career. The film also involved an abundant amount of foul language, which was not allowed in past Hollywood films, yet at times still significant to build character development for certain sections of the film during new American Hollywood films. Along with these complex storylines and characters came very innovated camera work and meaningful shots, which were very apparent in many European films and American of cinema adapted to it. Bogdanovich's used an abundant amount of shots that just captured scenery and extensively focused on characters' faces during mood enhancing scenes. During sexual scenes, he also made his camera angles very long and complex as he followed his camera anywhere where there was slight sexual moments present. This was greatly directed towards and zoomed in on hands and faces to build sexual anticipation. Overall, The Last Picture Show was a revolutionary film during the American New Wave that sparked change in the film community and caused directors to have full creativity and freedoms of their films. These are all my sources, and thank you for listening to my presentation.